The roots of addiction are both deep and ancient, and the methods used to deal with addicted persons were often bizarre. The Egyptians used to flog drunkards, and the Romans created Bacchus, a god of wine and revelry, and the Turks cured drunkenness by pouring molten lead down the throat of the inebriate, perhaps the first example of aversive conditioning. Crude, but effective. The Greeks believed that the use of amethyst, beautiful deep purple stones, would ward off drunkenness. They festooned their cups with amethysts. They wore them when drinking and even ground them up and put them into the wine that they drank. Perhaps this could be the origin of the term stoned. It's believed that winemaking originated in the Middle East. The Old Testament credits Noah with planting the first vineyard on Mount Ararat, and notes that Noah was the first person to experience drunkenness. An early example of an addict who we might recognize was Alexander the Great, the king of Macedonia, who in 350 BC, at the age of 31, had conquered the world, and during all of his mighty triumphs, he remained abstinent from intoxicating beverages. However, after his great triumphs, in a short span of just 2 years, Alexander became alcoholic and ended his career in a series of insane escapades. He burned cities at the request of a courtesan. He killed his best friend, and his demise came in a contest of wine drinking. Alexander the Great was 33 years old when he drank himself to death. These are just a few stories from history. While treatment over the years has changed, what has not changed has been the impact of chemical dependency, particularly on the addicted person and their family members. Over the years, I've worked with thousands of people impacted by the legacy of addiction, and I'd like to share with you 2 such stories. I asked a client to share with me her experience in her growing up years, and she commented, "Oh, Claudia, we were the late-night regulars at the local hospital emergency room. We were always going to the hospital emergency room. You know, we had to go the night that my mom dropped a bottle of gin on her leg and sliced her leg wide open, and split a tendon or sliced the tendon. And then we had to go to the hospital the night that my mom was doing dishes drunk and broke the dish and it sliced her arm wide open. And then we had to go to the hospital the night that my mom and dad would get in these just awful fights, and she threw the salt or pepper shaker at him and hit him in the forehead and split his head wide open, and off we went to the emergency room. We were always going. And then there were those nights that you really sort of should have gone, but you didn't go. Like this night, I was in the back of the house, and I heard this incredible noise, and then this sort of shattering sound, and I ran from the back of the house into the living room, and I saw my mom pitch through the plate glass window out onto her outside porch. Well, I tried to get underneath her, and there's glass all over, she's bleeding, and she's making this kind of wailing noise. Well, now, I'm down on the ground or on the porch, and I'm bleeding, and I'm crying, and I can't get her up, and I'm so afraid that if I get her partially up and drop her, I'm just going to split her in half and through the glass. So I ran inside, and I called my dad, and he said I had to get her in. So, I got back out there, and I don't know where I found the strength, but I did, and I managed to get her back inside the house. Well, people oftentimes will then ask me, well, then what happened to that little girl then? Well, nothing in particular happened to that little girl then. Life just goes on. You see, this was just a Tuesday night in her life, or I suppose it could have been a Wednesday night, but nothing in particular happens. Well, the reality is, when this little girl is just 12 years of age, her mom will die from her alcoholism. And now she will continue to live with her practicing alcoholic father. She has 2 alcoholic parents. But Dad is not as far along in the disease as Mom was, so life, in essence, is more stable for her. But by the time this young girl is now 18 years of age, we have a cocaine-abusing alcoholic. She's highly promiscuous. She's bulimic and actively suicidal.